Obviously, very tough times ahead. If you look at everything the government is doing, and let me first of all say that I think the very first caller, because I was listening whilst driving here, was saying that it was captured in the budget. Let me be frank, or let us be frank with ourselves. This whole conversation about fiscal consolidation was sparked by the Article 4 report of the IMF. That was in 2021. And some of us even think that was a time we were supposed to have a conversation about IMF bailout.
Going to the IMF, yeah.
Yeah, so if we captured that in our budget, even if we captured it, it was precipitated by the IMF Article 4 report. So that is it for the caller.
And indeed, to be specific, even with the report that has come out from the IMF itself, they're talking about limiting wages and employment as well. It's also there.
Yes,
it's there. But so we keep hearing that we should brace ourselves. What about the economy is going to hit us so hard that we need to brace ourselves? Now, I've already made mention of the fact that, for example, there's going to be a freeze on employment for the public sector. Yeah. I've already mentioned that we need to manage what they call it, the wages. And no wonder the GBC is intending to go on a strike. They're planning to go on a strike because there are going to be some cuts on some allowances that they have of staff there. And Fair Wages and Salaries are saying that, well, they don't deserve those amounts of monies, so they're going to work on that and all. Again, we know that there's going to be this quarterly review of utilities, electricity and all that. I mean, fuel and all that. For somebody who earns a minimum wage of $14.88, or somebody who earns, let's say, $2,000 roughly a month, how is this person supposed to survive? Looking at the situation we find ourselves in.
Okay, so David, which one do we tackle first? Do we tackle the how tough it will be first, or
that was the first question, and then this one? So
okay, so then let's go the first one first.
How tough is it going to be?
Yes. Now you know that government is doing everything possible to bring inflation down to say 28% by the end of the year.
Yeah,
and that has been our fictitious target, because the real target has been 8% plus or minus 2. Now, I'm sure we are attempting to be more realistic, so we are targeting around 28%. Nice. Now, it only means that the government will try as much as possible to reduce money balances in the system. And the meaning of that is that the government would have to be careful how much money is pumped into the system, whether it is through salary adjustment, allowances, or whatever it is, and would have to do everything possible to take some off, or at least let it stay where it is. And it also means that the government will have to curtail or streamline its own expenditure. The meaning is that the government will not be buying so much and will not be spending too much. And if the government does not do that, businesses are affected somehow. And how much money fueling business activities are affected. It means that the system will be a bit dry, because the government itself will reduce how much money it is putting into the economy through its own fiscal policy. Now, because we are targeting a lower inflation rate, it also means that monetary-wise, the Bank of Ghana is likely to, and that is even captured, increase the policy rate intermittently. Increasing the policy rate will mean that the cost of borrowing will go high. So even if the government is not going to employ, the private sector will also not employ. And that is the meaning. So it's like double slaps on the face. So as it were, if the government is not employing, the government would have to create the enabling environment for the private sector to thrive. Then the private sector can do the business of employment. But now, because the Bank of Ghana is also likely to increase the policy rate intermittently, it means that the private sector will also not have access to loanable funds to expand or create new businesses. So we have young graduates coming into the system. If they are not getting employment, they should be having access to loans to start their own businesses. Or if I have a daughter or a son, and even the person is not working, I should be able to get a loan for the person to start something off. But this is the case, you are unable to get anything. So we are not expanding the current businesses, and we are not creating new ones.
Is that to suggest that